Tudo bem? Bem-vindos a todos. A gente está aqui hoje para falar do World Cinema Fund. Eu estou dando as boas-vindas em português, mas logo vamos para o English. Quem quiser pode abrir sua câmera. É sempre um prazer conhecer vocês, mas não há nenhuma obrigação. Peço só para mutar os seus áudios, perfeito. All right, so switching to English. Very happy to have this conversation with Sata Cissokho from World Cinema Fund, who is a fairly recent acquisition of the World Cinema Fund. So it's really great to have this conversation with a new leadership. And it's also one of the reasons we wanted to have this conversation. World Cinema Fund, of course, is listed in our Show Me the Fund platform. So we understand this. If we signed out, Sapo? Okay, all right. I'm sorry, something happened here. It said I was signed out of the meeting, but I'm back. So yeah, we understand this to be under the platform of the Show Me the Fund initiative, which aims to connect Brazilian producers and professionals in film and to international funding opportunities. And the World Cinema Fund has been an amazing partner of Brazilian cinema. This is also why we have here Paola Wink, a producer, whose project Continente was selected in 2020 amongst a list of very great films that were Brazilian recipients of the World Cinema Fund, Divino Amor, A Febre, Cidade de Campo, Querência, Sueli, do Carim, way back when. Sata will talk to us about the specifics of the fund. The application is open until July 24, which makes this a very timely time to have this conversation. We just want to stress that, of course, it's about getting more information about the fund, but it's really the idea is to use this time to understand who this is for, when to apply, and how to apply, so that potential candidates really understand if there's a fit and have the best chance while applying for the fund. And Paola will let us know a little bit of the lessons learned from the application process and also maybe from being a grantee recipient of the fund. So you can all ask questions in the chat, and also after Sata and Paola, you can have the mic for a Q&A session right after they talk to us. So first, thank you, Sata, for being with us. And you have the floor to let us know about the World Cinema Fund edition of this year.
Great, thank you, so Josephine. Real nice to see you, meet you all. So as Josephine was saying, I recently joined the World Cinema Fund. It was less than a year ago. I come from international sales, doing acquisitions for a company that was called Memento, with which I worked on a lot of Brazilian films, including all of Gabriel Mascaro's film. You were mentioning Divino Amor. I was a sales agent for Divino Amor, but also Boy Neon, and most of his films, not the last one, but most. And so to tell you a bit more about the World Cinema Fund, so the fund has been created 22 years ago now, with the idea of helping filmmakers Global South financing their films through co-production with Germany. That was the starting point. In the 20 plus years of existence of the fund, more than 15 Brazilian films were supported. It's one of the most supported country, actually, together with Argentina. So there's a very strong relationship with Brazil from the fund. We have 2 calls for applications every year. The first one being at the beginning of the year, so it was in February. We are actually deciding on the projects that will be receiving the grants in 2 weeks. And the second one, which was open just yesterday until July 24th. We offer production, post-production, and distribution support, distribution only for Germany. For the production and post-production support, the applications are happening at the same time. We don't have a dedicated call for production and another one for post-production yet, but that's something that will evolve in the near future. What we provide is for projects asking for production support is between 30 and 60,000 euros, and for post-production support is between 20 and 40,000 euros. We have two different schemes of financing. The first one being the World Cinema Fund Classic, which is open to any producer from one of the eligible country. You will find a list of eligible countries on the website, but we're talking specifically about Brazil. So any producer from Brazil can apply with a project for production or post-production support. You don't have to have a German co-producer when applying. You don't have to have a European co-producer at all when applying for this specific World Cinema Fund Classic support. But if the project is supported and approved by the jury, you will have to find a German co-producer because it's public funding, so it has to go through a German company in order to go back to the Brazilian producer. One of the particularities that the fund has in comparison to other European minority funds is that you have to spend the money that you will be granted entirely in Brazil. As opposed to Cinéma du Monde, for example. I know there was a session recently with Cinéma du Monde. With Cinéma du Monde, you have to spend 60% of what you're receiving in France. With us, you have to spend at least 92% in Brazil. And your German co-producer can claim up to 7.5% of the money received through the fund for their administrative costs. But basically, it's money that goes directly into the production, the physical production of the film. It's something that is really at the heart of the fund, because the idea was not just to give money, but it was also to help producers and also infrastructures in the countries that are eligible to develop, so making sure that the money that we're providing can help hiring crew members and paying local needs rather than going into the German pockets, let's say. So in that sense, we really do operate a bit differently from other funds, which is also one of the reasons why you can look at the amazing track record of the fund, that we are behind a lot of great, successful films for the past 20 plus years. Another funding scheme that we have is supported by Creative Europe Media. And with this one, if you are in a co-production with a European country, so Portugal, France, Spain, whatever, your European partner can apply to the fund. And if the project is supported, you won't have to add a German partner. It can operate only between you and the European co-producer that is already involved. There are some regulations that come with it, which is that the part of European financing has to be between 20 and 70% of the total budget. And that's the European partner has to have already 20% in place. It's a fund that has like sister funds, let's say, with Überbals Europe, ITFA Berta Europe for documentary, and Torino FibLab. All of those four funds are supported by the same entity, which is the European Union. So you cannot have to the accumulate, but you will see that the requirements are basically the same from the one fund to the other. And so that's the Europe scheme. It's also operating on both production and post-production. For distribution, it's a different thing. It's really to help and encourage German distributor to release films from the eligible countries. So we are providing support up to 10,000 euros for releases in German cinemas, because we also, of course, the fund is here to help production in the countries targeted, but we also want to have those films visible in Germany as well, to a wide audience. The kind of films that are supported. Um, with the fund, is always difficult to determine an editorial line because it's a jury from people outside of the fund that is put together with different point of view and perspectives, let's say. But the one thing that is very central is the artistic vision, and the artistic qualities of the proposition, meaning that we are supporting art house films that have the potential to get in A-list festivals, so Cannes, Venice, Berlin, of course, Locarno, Rotterdam, Sundance. Mostly with documentary, it's a bit more open with ITFA or Vision du Réel, and other prestige documentary festivals. But yeah, basically the DNA of the fund is really art house, artistic, strong propositions. Um, and if you go through, for example, the Brazilian films that were supported, you will see the kind of films that we are helping, really. Why? Because with projects that tend to be maybe a bit more commercial, they might not need our help. They can find ways to finance them. Usually, they have a political angle in the projects, um, making it maybe a bit less easy to finance. But it's more, how can we accompany a director's vision towards completion, really. Um, that doesn't mean that we're only supporting classic art house drama. For example, this year at the Berlinale, there was a film from Indonesia that was supported by the World Cinema Fund, which was a horror film, very gory, bloody, very political as well, you know. But you can have fun with the form. But what we are looking for is, again, artistic vision, integrity, and also projects that are rooted locally. Meaning that if we are receiving a project that could take place anywhere and then Brazil is just like the landscape, that's not going to be for us, you know, because the question of relevancy, and yeah, being rooted in the local reality is important. We want to see the diversity of the world and not a transferable world, basically. Um, among the requirements to apply to be eligible, the budget is one of them. So we accept projects where the budget is up to 1.4 million euros. This will also change a bit in the future, but that's giving you an idea of the framework. Um, we don't have a specific requirement when it comes to budget already secured to apply, because otherwise it would close the door to a lot of projects, especially from countries where there's no local support, for example, public money locally. But we do need the films to be shot within a year after receiving the support. So we're not the ones that you should go to start your financing process. We're more coming towards the end, even for production money. You can apply for production support even if you will be shooting before the results. That still works, especially because we need around 4 months to give results. So, for example, I was saying in 2 weeks we have our jury meeting for the first call of the year. The application period was February to mid-March. So that's kind of at the timing that you have to have in mind. Normally, you can only apply once. with a project unless the committee decides to invite you to reapply, because your project was promising, but we didn't have enough spots. Or because we felt that the script was not there yet, or that you needed a bit more financing secure. But if you haven't received a notification from the jury saying we invite you to reapply either for post-production or post-production, then that means that we won't be reconsidering your project. That's mostly because we receive a lot, because, we say, yes, we cover the Global South, but the Global South, it's more than half of the world. So we're receiving a lot of applications. So at some point, we need to be a bit pragmatic, let's say, and how to handle all the submissions. What we are requiring when applying, it's pretty standard, same as most funds. So an application dossier with synopsis, director's notes, producer's notes. Producer's note is something that tends to be kind of overlooked, but it's very, very important, especially if it's your first film as a producer, or your young production company. It's important to really emphasize in your production notes your relationship to the director, your relationship to the story, your strategy, your financing strategy, your co-production strategy, and your ambitions for the film. We also ask a note on your distribution and release strategy, including target festivals, target sales agents, if you are already discussing with a Brazilian distributor, to understand where do you see your film, and to see if your ambition matches the project itself, because we need to really see the whole picture. We're not just evaluating scripts, we're evaluating projects and packages, let's say. So not just the script, but everything around it as well. And the team behind is something that is very important, because in the end, if we support the project, we're giving you as producer the support, and we're trusting you with the money to make sure that you will be able to deliver what you have promised. And it's on you more than on the director in the end, Um, so obviously, director's bio, producer's bio, financing plan, budgets, the director's previous films as well. And then we ask co-production agreements, chain of titles, and all those legal documents that allows us to understand if you are in the rights to represent the film, basically, and to receive money for the film. So obviously the fund is attached to the Berlinale. There's no automatic, going from receiving the money from the World Cinema Fund to being selected to the Berlinale. There is a relationship. So when we support a film, we're also checking with the production team if they want to submit as well to the Berlinale. We're facilitating, let's say, the relationship between the projects that we have supported and the festival, but it's not an automatic thing. And yeah, I think I covered, let's say, um, the scope of the fund. One thing that I forgot to mention when it comes to the requirements, so only filmmakers who are citizens from one of the eligible country can apply. Meaning that if it's like a French director wanted to shoot a film in Brazil, it won't be eligible, even though it will be shot in Brazil, because a French director has access to other source of financing. And also we really want to, going back to supporting projects that are rooted locally, and to show the diversity of the world, having someone else's perspective on a country might be different from having someone who's actually coming from that country, So it's really to preserve, let's say, the authenticity of the proposals that we receive.
A whole lot of information. Thank you very much, Sata. And I will maybe now switch to Paula, and we'll switch to Portuguese, as I said, so that Paula can share with us her experience. Então, obrigada, Paula. Você ganhou, a Paula estava nos falando que ela não só ganhou o World Cinema Fund em 2020 com o Continente, mas na época tinha um Audience Design Award que o World Cinema Fund dava em parceria com o Cinemundi. Ela também ganhou. Infelizmente, esse aí foi descontinuado, mas enfim. Segue, então, com a sua experiência com o grant que recebeu em 2020. Então, se puder nos contar um pouco sobre o processo de application e também qualquer lição aprendida, vai ser ótimo compartilhar com você. Quer dizer, você compartilhar com a gente.
Muito obrigada, Josephine, pelo convite. É um prazer compartilhar aqui a minha experiência com o Continente. Eu acho que é legal dizer que é uma experiência específica, né, de um projeto e pode ter outras formas, né, de fazer a inscrição, outras formas de conseguir ganhar o fundo, o World Cinema Fund. É um fundo super aberto. E a Sata contou um pouco pra gente o que que eles buscam nos projetos. Então, é um fundo que é realmente voltado para os cinemas dos países elegíveis, né? No caso, o Brasil é um deles. Cinemas que são locais, que histórias super autorais, art house, diretores que têm uma visão artística muito forte, que pode ter um ponto de vista político. Tudo isso é desejável pelo fundo. Então, é um fundo realmente que está olhando com muito carinho e atenção para as nossas histórias locais. Então, isso é bom a gente ter sempre em mente quando pensar em escrever um fundo, um projeto no World Cinema Fund. Bom, o Continente, ele é um projeto que ele é uma coprodução com 3 países. Então, ele é Brasil, Argentina e França. E a gente começou a desenvolver ele em 2018, então já faz um bom tempo. A gente conseguiu o primeiro dinheiro do projeto, que foi um dinheiro brasileiro, e foi em 2018 também, em outubro. E a partir disso, a gente começou a fazer um caminho de laboratórios com esse projeto. Então, a gente foi. ah, um primeiro deles, acho que foi o Brasil Cinemundi, que era em Belo Horizonte. Esse projeto, o Continente, voltando um pouco, é do Davi Preto, que é um diretor que é o terceiro longa-metragem dele. Os 2 primeiros longas anteriores dele estrearam na Berlinale, então é um diretor que ele tem essa relação um pouco com Berlim já, desde o início da carreira dele. O primeiro longa dele, Castan, estreou na Berlinale. O Continente, o Rifle, que é o segundo longa dele, também estreou na Berlinale em 2017. Então ele tinha uma carreira construída ali, pensando no mercado internacional e tudo. E eu também produzi todos os longas desse diretor. Então, o Continente, a gente começou essa carreira de laboratórios, já pensando que ele seria um projeto que seria feito em coprodução internacional. A gente participou no Brasil Cinemundi e lá a gente fechou uma coprodução com a Argentina. Foi nosso primeiro parceiro internacional no projeto. E a partir daí, a gente ganhou, nessa participação no Cinemundi, a gente ganhou o prêmio de Audience Design do World Cinema Fund. Então, também começou já sabíamos que o World Cinema Fund conhecia o nosso projeto, já tendo dado um prêmio, né, que era premiado na época pela Isona, que organizava o World Cinema Fund naquele momento. Então, a partir daí, o segundo mercado que a gente foi o Berlinale Co-Production Market. Então, a gente foi selecionado para participar nesse segundo mercado, que é um mercado muito legal para coprodução. E lá a gente conseguiu fechar nossa coprodução com a França, nesse momento. Isso foi 2020, fevereiro de 2020. E lá, com essa coprodução com a França, a gente, no evento do Co-Production Market, a gente teve a oportunidade, no momento, na época, era o Vincenzo, que era o diretor do World Cinema Fund. A gente fez uma reunião presencial com ele lá no Co-Production Market e pôde fazer um pitching do projeto. Então a gente já contou sobre o projeto, ele sabia da existência, a gente já tinha um prêmio de audience design do fundo. E aí a gente, com o nosso parceiro francês, decidiu se inscrever no World Cinema Fund. Então a gente se inscreveu para o World Cinema Fund Europe, que foi o que a gente ganhou. Então era a versão que não precisava ter um coprodutor alemão, no projeto. Quando a gente se inscreveu, a gente já tinha se inscrito num fundo francês ao mesmo tempo, então a gente estava correndo junto com duas inscrições. E felizmente no processo, a gente conseguiu ganhar o fundo francês e pôde informar o World Cinema Fund que a gente tinha conseguido assegurar um fundo francês nesse meio tempo. Isso é legal que o World Cinema Fund ele permite que você mande algumas atualizações do projeto. Então, consegui um financiamento internacional. Tu pode mandar uma informação contando que teve um update do projeto. Então, isso é super bom estar atento se inscreveu e no período de 4 meses que eles vão estar avaliando, se tu tem qualquer novidade, sempre vale a pena avisar o fundo, porque eles são super atentos, super abertos a esse tipo de informação. E aí, com isso, nosso projeto ficou super. Eu vejo, né, que ele ficou muito forte, porque ele tinha já uma coprodução argentina garantida, tinha uma coprodução francesa que ficou assegurada enquanto a gente estava esperando o resultado do World Cinema Fund. Então, um pouco se amarrou um pouco toda a relação do projeto com o fundo, né? O histórico do diretor, o nosso histórico como produtoras da Vulcana Cinema. A gente também já foi para Berlim com outros filmes. Então, foi um pouco esse foi um pouco a trajetória do Continente. Mas não quer dizer que teu projeto precise ter essas coproduções todas asseguradas para se inscrever, né? A Sata mencionou, não precisa ter nada disso, não precisa ter um produtor alemão, tu não precisa ter um parceiro europeu ainda no momento da inscrição. Pode se inscrever sem isso, né? E com um financiamento não tão avançado. Mas eu tendo a experiência que eu tive com o Orçamento Fund, eu recomendo se inscrever, como só pode se inscrever uma única vez, se inscrever quando o seu projeto estiver mais avançado, né? Já ter um financiamento pelo menos no Brasil, né? Como a gente tem essa opção de conseguir um financiamento no Brasil, não é que nem outros países, né? Por exemplo, da América Latina, que não tem um financiamento no seu próprio país e não tem outra alternativa a não ser buscar fora do país. Então, o World Cinema Fund é um fundo antenado. Então, eles sabem que no Brasil a gente pode conseguir algum financiamento inicial de outra forma. Então, é bom que a gente se inscreva com um projeto mais avançado. Pelo menos dinheiro brasileiro, um pedaço garantido, eu diria. Eu recomendaria isso, assim. Claro, pode ter histórias, eu não conheço todos os filmes brasileiros ou que ganharam sem ter nenhum um financiamento garantido. Então, eu acho que não é regra nem nada, é só uma dica que eu levantaria, assim. E, assim, é um fundo muito, muito, muito concorrido, né? Eu já me inscrevi muitas vezes com outros projetos e não ganhei. Inclusive, o segundo longa do diretor, Davi Preto, a gente inscreveu 3 vezes no World Cinema Fund, que é o Rifle. Então, a gente escreveu para produção, a gente não ganhou, a gente recebeu uma recomendação do júri para inscrever novamente quando tivesse com financiamento mais avançado. A gente fez isso, não ganhou também, e recebeu uma recomendação para escrever em pós-produção. Então, depois, com o filme montado, a gente reinscreveu de novo e não ganhou. Dessa vez não ganhou também. Então, a gente tentou 3 vezes e mesmo assim não conseguimos nesse projeto RIFC. Então, eu acho que tem que ter em mente que é muito concorrido, né? Ela falou 15 filmes brasileiros que ganharam. Não é claro, é expressivo para o tamanho do fundo e para a quantidade de edições que o fundo já teve, né? Quase sempre tem um filme brasileiro contemplado, mas não é muito, né? É uma competição bem grande, considerando a quantidade de filmes brasileiros que a gente produz por ano. Então, eu diria que é muito importante pensar na coerência do projeto, sabe? Seria para mim, o que que a gente mais observou fazendo a inscrição do Continente? É a visão artística do diretor, né? Tu ter uma carta de motivação muito forte que amarre politicamente o teu projeto, as visões artísticas, como vai ser filmado, ter um material visual muito bom. Eu diria que é se esforçar para fazer um bom mood board do projeto, com imagens que realmente passem a ideia do que é essa visão artística que vai estar no texto, tentar transformar isso também em fotos, imagens. Não precisa ser um design elaborado, contratar um designer e gastar, sabe, muito dinheiro com isso, mas fazer realmente pensar nas fotos que estão ali e por que que elas estão ali, sabe? Se tem foto de ator já colocar, se tem coisas de se já tem locações, se tem fotos, se vai filmar numa cidade do interior muito específica, colocar isso, né? Mostrar o que que teu projeto tem de único e por que que ele é filmado no Brasil, onde se passa, né? O Brasil é gigante. Então, dar todas essas especificidades do projeto, eu acho que é muito importante, sabe? Eu acho que isso é uma das coisas que mais vão destacar o projeto, assim. E a carta de produção, como ela falou, às vezes é meio. A gente acha que não é tão importante, mas é realmente muito importante para amarrar toda a coerência do projeto, né? O que que o diretor está almejando artisticamente, a diretora, né? Qual que é a visão desse projeto? Como tu, como produtora, tá vendo ele que ele vai se encaixar no mercado? Não é porque um filme é art house que ele não tem seu público, ou não tem seu espaço, não tem seu lugar, saber imaginar onde o filme pode estar e ser coerente com o que está apresentando, para mim é uma das coisas também que mais vai te dar pontos para conseguir ganhar o fundo. Então, eu acho que isso seria uma das dicas assim que eu mais penso que seria importante. E também fazer uma boa tradução assim do roteiro, principalmente, nota de direção, porque é muito projeto que eles vão estar lendo. Se a tua tradução chegar não tão bem feita, a chance é menor, né? Porque a pessoa também tem que ter algum prazer lendo teus textos. Ela não pode dar mais um trabalho extra para a pessoa, para o júri, ler um roteiro que está mal traduzido. Já é um texto difícil de ler, né? Não é o mais agradável do mundo tu ler um roteiro. Então, se esforçar para que a tradução seja bem feita. Eu diria, se tem um investimento a ser feito, é esse, de fazer uma tradução de qualidade. O que mais que eu posso contar? Da execução, acho que falar um pouco, né, depois de ganhar o fundo, ele é muito amigável, assim, para a produção, porque o dinheiro realmente vem para o Brasil, tu pode gastar ele para fazer o filme, a prestação de contas é feita pelo seu parceiro europeu, então, se tu tem um coprodutor alemão, quem vai fazer a prestação de contas é o parceiro alemão, se é francês, quem vai fazer é o francês. Então, é uma execução bastante simples, claro, tem que prestar contas com todos os documentos fiscais, as notas, tudo se manda como na Ancine. Tu vai mandar o comprovante de pagamento, a nota fiscal. E aí a especificidade é que precisa ter um auditor contratado externo, que vai olhar esses documentos. Então, daí tem um auditor vai olhar toda a documentação e vai dar uma aprovação também. Então, a gente manda isso junto. É bem, eu acho que é um dos melhores rumos, assim, para se ganhar, porque eles são, enfim, um fundo muito importante, né, mundialmente, é super relevante tu ganhar já o World Cinema Fund já é um selo de qualidade para o teu projeto. E para além disso, o perfil que eles selecionam os projetos, como todo o dinheiro pode ser gasto e investido no país, né, que está sendo a produção, no filme, efetivamente. Não precisa gastar o dinheiro contratando técnicos europeus ou esse tipo de arranjo que existe em outros fundos. Então, acho que é um fundo que é realmente muito importante assim, para o cinema latino-americano, global,
Paula,
assim.
alguém perguntou aqui, what was your first finance, what was your fund, the first fund you secured in Brazil?
Foi um fundo setorial de produção.
Was it from the national agency, public agency, pricing for Sata.
Yeah. And right after we won Ibermedia also with Argentina.
Okay, thank you very much. it's a very interesting trajectory. I think it's very important to say that it's a very specific trajectory, and it's important to what you stressed. You don't need to have had, and maybe Sata, you can say that you don't need to have had a director who was selected twice at Berlinale too. So I think it's really amazing and impressive, and it's a very it's a great case. It's one of the cases, I would say. So I try to let Sata know what you were saying. I don't know if Sata, based on that, you have any comments on Paola's comments. And also, if anyone here wants to ask a question, raise his hand, put it in the chat. We're open for questions. But maybe Sata, if you want to rebound on something, feel free. Sata? We can't hear you for some reason. We lost your audio. You're not on mute. I'm telling you, these lives, they're doomed.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, you're back.
Yes. Okay.
Oh.
No, I was saying that I wanted to emphasize on two things that Paola said. The first one being, it is a very, very competitive fund. For example, the last call for projects, we received 370 projects, and in the end, we will be supporting between 6 and 8. So the success rate is very, very tough. At the same time, we're very mindful of having a good diversity of like geographic diversity, but also a mix of first-time director and more established ones. So we're really paying attention to the projects, and yes, you don't need to already have several films directed to really be considered, because we will always be supporting first-time filmmakers, and also some first-time producers as well. The other thing, when it comes to the application documents, you're 100% right. A good translation can change everything, because we're reading a lot of projects in a very short amount of time. Sometimes I know that it's an investment. It's not cheap to find a good translator, but it does change the way we perceive the projects. I know that now it's become very easy to translate a document with AI, but at the same time, you're translating the words and not necessarily the emotions, or the subtlety that the writer has put in their original language. So having someone, even if you're using, and I know that for a lot of people, starting with like automatic translation has become the norm. Even if you're starting with an automatic translation, you need to have a professional's eyes to make sure that all the things, all the subtext that was in the original language are still perceived in the English version of your script. That's very important. And the visuals as well. And we need to be able to imagine the film, and for that we need a bit of help. You need to show us how it could be. It can be from the director's previous work, it can be from other films, but having a visual sense to understand the cinematic environment of the project is very important for us, because again, when you're covering more than 300 projects, you need to have images that sticks to your mind. So yeah, mood boards, pitch deck, whatever you can do, put together to illustrate the text is always appreciated.
Great. Does anyone want to take this opportunity to ask a question? We don't have questions in the chat. Anybody wants to jump in? Okay, maybe while was that? No. Okay. Maybe while someone musters up the courage or writes up in the chat, those are great recommendations. Is there something you would say? I mean, yeah, a bad translation is definitely a do not. Are there other do nots? Sometimes in this kind of conversation, it's great to have to learn something that you couldn't write on your website. So any hint about, I think we have this gave us a good idea of when and how, but I mean, what are the really like the pitfalls to try to avoid? Maybe in terms of if your project is ripe, or when or how to apply.
One of the mistakes that I often see is applying with a first draft or a second draft of a script. And you can tell that not enough time has been spent in having a script that is there. It goes together with like when to apply. But the thing is, if it's too early, unless your project already has like very strong elements that we want to hold on to, if it's too early, you won't have a second chance. Another thing is if it's a first-time director, again, it's completely open, but short films are very, very important for us. And if it's the first time that you're working with a first-time filmmaker, if you're able to do a short film together, that can only help, in for us being able to assess the director's potential, but also the working relationship between the two of you.
Good one.
Yeah, I see a question from Elisa. Yes.
Yeah, can you shoot between Brazil and Europe?
Yes, you can shoot between Brazil and Europe if the project has, Brazilian. If it's a Brazilian project, it can be shot in different countries, but it has to be a Brazilian project with part of the shoot in Brazil.
And not as a decor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not
Okay.
to start, on the beach in Ohio and then moving to Italy or whatever,
Yeah. Okay. Juliana wants to know if there's any question for a director who has two nationalities.
Dual
citizenship.
Dual
citizenship.
Yeah, this is accepted. The world is a place of migration, and you look at me, but I'm born in France, from Senegalese parents. It's normal. We're not static in one place. That's why obviously we have to change, make the rules evolve. Dual citizenship is completely okay. Again, if you are Brazilian, Portuguese, you're doing a film in Brazil, it works. There's nothing that stops it. But yeah, the question of citizenship is it's a delicate one, because on the one hand you want to again preserve authenticity of the story, but on the other hand you don't want to be close-minded when it comes to what's your passport. So there is a bit of flexibility, again, case by case depending on the project, but as long as the notion of authenticity is understood, then we can allow for a bit of flexibility.
Okay. Hal wants to know, in the case of post-production funding, is there any requirement for the production team to be partially European?
No, it can be 100% Brazilian, and that works. Yeah.
It's a very strong point of this fund compared to, especially like the Cinéma du Monde that you mentioned. That Paola is like, yes, I think I'm sure maybe you have. Did you get the Cinéma du Monde as well, Paola? So that you could compare.
I didn't want the Cinéma du Monde, but I won another one from France, is from Nouvelle Aquitaine region.
Yeah.
And yes, there was a spending obligations in the region, and crew, everything. We have to do our official co-production. So this was already in the structure of the project, so it was not a problem for us. But the World Cinema Fund was super important because we didn't have enough money in Brazil to shoot at the time. And the World Cinema Fund was the possibility to start the shooting. So if World Cinema Fund secured, we could finally shoot the film and do the post-production in France, for instance. So it was very good support, and the timing was perfect for us.
Fred, yes, wants to know if first feature film directors can apply.
Yes,
You
of
said
course.
so. Yeah, of course. And I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Maybe Paola, you can help me. I didn't understand Juliana's question. A segunda é diretor brasileiro poderia propor em outro país do sul global com equipes dos dois países. Did
If
you
I
get that?
understand, if a Brazilian director can work with another country from the
Right.
south with
Yeah.
teams from the two countries.
Both countries.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I said, yeah.
Yeah, that's completely possible. Yeah.
But wait, but you do have to have, because it says here, yeah, you do have, if he's Brazilian, he needs to be shooting in Brazil, even though if he's pairing with a director from another global south country, it cannot be shot only in the other country.
And that's case by case.
Okay.
That's case by case. Yeah.
Okay. Juliana, I hope we answered your question. If not, please let us know, because I'm sure, I hope we got this bit. Yes, we did. Okay, great. Okay. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Good. Well, this was very productive. Anyone else? We're still open for questions. Otherwise, we might wrap this up. Paola, any other or Sata, anything you want to add to these tips and info about this round of will it change a lot, Sata? Are you telling us that the World Cinema Fund will be going through a revolution?
Revolution, no, but changes here and there. Yeah.
Okay.
So before joining the World Cinema Fund, I was actually in the Cinéma du Monde committee. I've been at Uberbals as well, so I know how the other funds work internally, and also working in international sales for so long, being in like working with filmmakers and producers, especially from the south, from the eligible countries. I can also see where some of the regulations become limitations, and yeah, it's more like adjusting here and there, because the way it works very well, and has been working very well for 22 years, and the previous team did an amazing job, for sure, and that's really something that I want to continue with adjustments. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that sounds very exciting. There's always room for improvement. Okay, well, we have no hand raised and no questions in the chat. So I understand that this was extremely productive and positive, because no more questions. People have no doubts. So I wish everyone a lot of luck. Paola and Sata, if you want to have a last word, that's now.
No, I think it was very good, all the tips. One last thing I would just like to say that really take the time to look at the project and read it. And if you have the chance, send it to some friend to read it as well. Like ask for someone outside the company to read it, to see if it's coherent, if everything is in place, if the synopsis is understandable. It's really difficult to do a good synopsis. So sometimes to have like someone reading from outside can give you insights that you, as a producer or the director, didn't are not able to see anymore, because you already read it so many times. So this is the last tip I would say.
Good tip. And it's like when you don't know what you want to order in a restaurant, and you ask the waiter to come just to pressure. So we have 3 questions now. So somebody, Edu, is saying he's doing a feature in development, and he sent it to labs and small opportunities, and he got accepted he was in the shortlist of Arch, and he wants to know if it would make sense to apply to this fund. I guess that's a very collateral question. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but
what is Ash?
I don't know what Ash is. So I think maybe it's not a question directed to you. So I will ask Edu to maybe refine the question if it has to do with the World Cinema Fund. Otherwise, we'll let that one on the shelf. Juliana, are there any restrictions for directors who are also producers?
No. But what we need in that case is your director's note as a director, your producer's note as a producer, but also to emphasize what's your strategy, because wearing the two hats when shooting a film, I mean, for documentary is maybe a bit more easier than for fiction, but wearing the two hats is difficult. So if you are the producer of your own film, we need to understand in your producer's notes what's your strategy in terms of head of departments, if you already know that you will be working with a line producer specific or like a DOP, to know that there's a team with you and you're not on your own with like a million hats, because the producer's job is to make sure that the shooting takes place in good conditions and everything goes well. The director's job is to make sure that the images and the directing is there. It's two different jobs. So how will you be able to do the two jobs at once? You need a team. And so if you are planning on applying with this double hats, you need to have your team secured around you, and that you can tell us, don't worry, I have this great line producer, I have this great DOP, I have this great this and that, so that we know that you're not alone.
Yeah, a one-man show. Okay, great. Wonderful. Well, I think this is about it now. And thank you again. Sata, you want the last word, maybe? Is there a focus on younger directors, Eliane? No.
Not a focus, but there's a balance between established directors and first-time directors. Yeah.
All right. So I think we answered all the questions.
Yeah.
Last word. Oh, wait. Okay. Well, I think it's a very specific question that maybe not related to Sata's expertise. So please, Sata, for the last words.
Thank you. And if you have any questions about applying, you will find online the email address to send those questions to. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and a very interesting conversation. Good luck to everybody. And we hope this was useful. And so that's, see you sometime. Sata will be at Cinemondi. She was telling us. So if you are part of Cinemondi in Belo Horizonte, she will have the opportunity to meet Sata in person, advertising for her presence there. Take care, everybody. Good luck. Thank you so much to everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.